Hey everybody, JJ here. Welcome back to another one of our Zoom networking presentations. We're in the middle of the NFL playoff season here, and our guest speaker's got the nice piece of clothing there representing his home team, which beat my team in the playoffs. But our guest speaker today is a very good friend of mine. I talk about real estate all the time, networking. The importance of your business is build relationships. You want to build relationships with people that are rock stars. Who the quote said, but the quote we all hear all the time is, you want to be the poorest person in the room. You want to be the dumbest person in the room. You want to surround yourself with millionaires. You want to surround yourself with people that bring value. And, you know, when you get to build your business, you want to build your network. Your network is your net worth. As you build your network, as you surround yourself with rock stars, you find you're surrounding yourself with people like this guy, Mr. Mal Washington. Mal is our guest speaker today. Mal, how you doing, brother?
Living the dream every day here in Jacksonville, Florida. I don't know what the deal is with the weather. It's like 60 and cloudy today. Yesterday, it was like 75 and sunny when I was out on the beach.
And your team's playing today. Is it playing today or tomorrow?
The Jags, no, I'm giving you a little grief because we're starting at exactly 4:30. And that's when the Jags are starting with KC. Now, we didn't know this whenever we set this call up, however many weeks ago or back, it might have even been last year.
Yeah.
So we didn't know the Jaguars were going to take out the Chargers and then now be playing during the Zoom call.
Yeah, they beat my Chargers, killed us. You guys got a heck of a quarterback. You know what's great is, well, you know, I'm going to start with this. Well, if they haven't figured it out yet, for those that don't know you, what part of the country are you in?
Jacksonville Beach, Florida, also known as Paradise. Love it.
There you go. It's beautiful.
I've been down here for a little over I guess I'm in my 32nd year here in Jacksonville. Yeah.
Wow. So you were born there?
No, I grew up, I was born in New York, but I grew up in Michigan. So when I'm in the Midwest, I'm a Midwesterner, but now I've been down here for so long, I'm a Floridian.
There you go.
And love it.
There you go. So you're originally from Michigan?
Originally New York, Long Island.
Oh, okay.
And I love.
I was born in Chicago. We left there when I was 6. So how old did you leave? Were you when you left New York?
I was a couple of years old when I left New York. I don't remember living in New York at all, but it's one of my favorite cities. My dream is to have a place in New York City. And thought that was going to happen a couple of years ago, but it didn't. But we moved to Michigan. I grew up there, went to school there, and then life and career took me to Florida, and I've been here ever since.
There you go. You know, what I talk about all the time is the people in the relationships. And, you know, people ask me what I do. I say, you know, do dog agility, I coach Little League, I ride horses. And yeah, I don't answer with what do I do to pay my electric bill, you know. And as I meet people, I just get to know them for who they are and appreciate them. And I just surround myself with good people. But what I found out about you well after I came to know you is that we have a commonality outside of real estate, which is, well, I was more general category, I'll say athletics. And then I found that through learning about your background through athletics, that you're out of University of Michigan.
Yep.
Go Blue.
Absolutely. Go Blue.
Yeah. So I going to USC, we played Michigan in the Rose Bowl one of the years I was at SC. So
yeah, got recruited to the University of Michigan and went there for 2 years. And I'm still stunned and in disbelief that we lost to TCU just a couple of weeks ago. I literally thought this might have been the year, because we've had some rough football years over the last 20 years. And I thought this might have been the year that we might go all the way, but it just did not happen.
Got to get Bo Schembechler back there.
Yeah, Bo. Yeah. Had the opportunity to meet Bo once, and he was like, I could have made you a good fullback. That's the one thing I remember that Bo said to me. I was like, nah, I'm a tennis player.
It's quite a compliment, though.
Yeah, for
quite
sure.
A compliment.
He's a legend at University of Michigan.
Well, as I understand, you're a legend too, brother. Tell us about your tennis background. I heard about that. What's up with that?
No,
You like you've been
I started playing.
teaching and
Yeah, I started playing tennis when I was 5 years old. Is what I grew up doing. Is what I love to do. Played my first tournament at 7. Fell in love with competing, and my dad took me to, and me and my older sister and my mom, to the U.S. Open in New York when I was
oh
about 10 years old, and actually
wow.
a little bit older than that. You know what he said? He said one day you can play on that court. And you fast forward a few years, I'm on a scholarship playing tennis at the University of Michigan, and a couple of years after that, I'm playing on that very court that
Wow.
I watched
Wow.
players play on when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and now people are coming to watch me play. So
How
that's what I
special is
did
that?
for a living, playing pro tennis.
Wow. That's really impressive. We not always get to live a dream. I mean, that's got to be a dream to come, especially as a kid that's played. We all, want to have something happen that's a little bit more. I was amazed as through my journey as I got to know you. It's how so many people know you. I was like, oh Mal, yeah. Oh, the guy from Michigan. And it's like, oh, yeah, I believe he is. And so we got a pretty good crew with us today here to talk to you and hear you speak. And so let me ask you another thing. You can still pick up a racket, I'm sure, and hit the ball over the net. When did you get into real estate? How did that transition happen for you?
Well, I jokingly say I grew my love of real estate from playing years and years of Monopoly. Just buying Pennsylvania Avenue or Baltic Avenue, whatever it was. Played a ton of that growing up. But I remember when I was a kid, this was even before I was a teenager, I was just fascinated with the idea of owning something. I grew up in a house that my parents owned. And we had a couple of acres, and behind our house, it was, literally hundreds of acres of cornfields. And I always just thought it was cool. I was like, it'd be cool to just be somewhere, and you kind of looked around and thought this was my property. So even while I was traveling the world, around to about 30 countries around the world playing tennis, in the back of my head, or even when I'm on the road, I was always just kind of interested in real estate and looking at real estate. And there were times where I would actually be on the road at a tournament, and I would just kind of randomly see, someone was hosting a real estate event, and I'd go to that real estate event while I was on the road. So that love of real estate has always been there. And I've been fortunate to have a couple of careers, from tennis to announcing tennis with ESPN to now real estate and my youth foundation. So I've had the good fortune of being able to do what I love to do for the better part of my entire life.
Oh, that's a blessing. Yeah. And I'm familiar with how you give back to kids, and which is one of my passions, giving back to kids. So today's topic, is about, the ever important, money aspect and funding. We all get into real estate. I know I'm in a couple different education programs for people that have not been in investment previously, which I was not. I was a real estate owner, but not an investor. And a lot of people get introduced to the concept of, wholesaling first, get those done a couple times, and then hold one, and wholesale and hold one, and kind of build your portfolio. And then there's not a lot of talk about lending. It's about find a hard money lender, find a private money lender. And to a lot of the newer investors, that just seems so foreign. And what I talk about all the time is the importance of networking, is building those relationships. You then get to know the person first, and then find out maybe this good friend is, not only a private money lender, but as people that can introduce you to somebody else. So how did your transition from learning about real estate to getting involved in the funding, lending part? How did that come about?
Well, if I could, I'll just go back a little bit. Growing up here, not growing up, but living in Florida, having left University of Michigan after 2 years and coming to Florida, got an apartment, and I just remember always having that desire to own my own property.
Yeah.
So eventually bought a house. I was 22 years old, bought a house, and I just remember thinking, I'll never do that again until I educate myself, because I remember being at the closing table JJ, I could have been signing my life over to you and I wouldn't have known the difference. There's this stack of papers. I'm signing my name, literally 25, 30 times, didn't know what I was doing. And I was just relying on the realtor I had
Wow.
and the closing agent and hoping they were honest. And from there, I said, that'll never happen again. And I'm going to educate myself. And there was a point a number of years later when I was actually injured. I had injured my knee and I was off for quite a while. And I sat in a real estate course, and it was a course to get my license. And so that kind of continued my education. And and I'm jumping quite a few years here. And then I got hooked up with the folks from Fortune Builders, primarily because I knew some folks here in Jacksonville and I saw how they were growing. Okay. And I bought like my primary house and a second and a little investment property. And I couldn't figure out, like, how are these guys growing their business? And because I knew they were buying, little dozens and dozens of properties, I knew they couldn't have been coming out of pocket on their own, like after, because these were young guys, a little bit younger than me. And, when I started, becoming educated with the Fortune Builders folks, it was literally the first time I had heard the term private lender. And I was like, private lender? What the heck is a private lender? Everyone on this call is a private lender. I mean, you've loaned someone money before, whether it's a family member or friend. I often say if you loan money to a family, it actually becomes a gift because you're probably never getting it back. But private lending became something that I just felt like that makes a lot of sense with me, because kind of in the circles that I kind of walked in or knew or grew or was in here in Florida, it's just a lot of people who I knew had a little bit of money. And from there, I just continued to learn about private lending, what it meant, why would someone lend money on a deal to me? And I remember that, my first two lenders, I mean, it was kind of simultaneous. It was a family member, my aunt and uncle, who are still my lenders to this day, and then another buddy who's still my lender to this day. So it's not a comfortable thing, especially starting out when you're, asking people for money, but there's no question there are, things that I'd like to talk about today. There's certainly things you can put in place or things you can do that are going to make you, a successful person in raising money. And kind of like the title, that I said, private lending, it's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's not complicated. Neither, and real estate isn't really complicated. I often say it's simple, but it's not easy. There are definitely things you have to do and have to get good at, and you can be very, very successful raising money.
Yeah, it's amazing. Somebody asked me once about private money, and actually, it's kind of an interesting story. A friend of mine calls me and says, "Hey, there's a guy got a deal in LA, and he's a private money lender. His dad lives there. He's in the Midwest." But apparently he's looking for a private money lender. And I know that you've got your private, I know this lady that owns a ranch where I keep my horse, and she's interested to lend, so she's my private money lender. And he says, I know you have your relationship with your private money lender. He needs some money. He's got a deal. Purchase price is 600. The ARV is 1.1. He, needs to put a couple hundred. He's gonna make about 200 grand on the deal. Would you like to talk to him about what he might need for the deal? I said, sure. So my friend calls me back 5 minutes later, says, "Oh, the guy just called me." He says, "Don't give JJ the numbers." And he's like, "Well, whoops, too late. You should have told me that up front." So then this young man calls me from Midwest, and he wants to do this deal. He says, "What do we need to do to lock in your private money lender?" I said, "Not a problem. You pay the hard money lender, pay the private money lender, and you guys split the profit." He's like, I go, "Well, what were you thinking?" Well, I thought I'd give you a finder's fee. I'm thinking, okay, even if it was 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, guys making 200 grand on the deal. And in actuality, if he doesn't have the private money, all he has is the wholesale. And so, the philosophy that I've got, and I think it's pretty common, is that private money lenders are someone else's lender. And if you want to get that money from the newer investor to joint venture with someone that has a connection to private money, because that private money lender is not up to maybe loaning to a stranger, but the person that they're have a good relationship with, they trust to watch the deal and secure the deal. There's experience in the deal, and someone they know is running that deal has eyes on the project. So, my perspective of private money is the personal relationship, and I always talk about that. And God, you just got such a great personality, and everything you've done in the circles that you're in. So you must be meeting all kinds of people.
There's no question the relationship piece is very, very important. Some of my private, my aunt and uncle, I've known them my entire life. I have other lenders that I've known for 20 years. So we've built a relationship of a friendship. There's trust there. They know me. They've gotten to know me. They think I'm a guy of relative and decent integrity, and all of that matters to a private lender. One of the things I often say, and all of us have heard this before. They have to know you, trust you, and like you. I mean, if you think about it, are you going to loan to anyone you don't like? Why would you ever loan money to someone you don't like?
Yeah.
Would you ever loan money to someone you do not trust? No, you never would. You may loan to someone you may not necessarily know, similar to the story you were just telling, saying, where me, if I'm borrowing money, they might not know me, but I might know someone they know, someone someone that they trust, who then comes to me and says, hey, my uncle or my friend may want to get in on one of your deals. So they may not know me directly, but they'll get to know me indirectly. And then over time, they'll know me, they'll get to know me very, very well. Because I think when it comes to loaning money, a lot of it is you have to get those lenders comfortable with who you are, and then comfortable with the deal. But I think, in my opinion, I think the deal is almost secondary. And the reason I say that, with some of my lenders, I have lenders who literally live 10 minutes from me, who have been loaning me money for years, and they have never come out to one of the projects. They have literally, the project will be 10 minutes away and they have not come to see it. And I'm like, hey, we'll have breakfast. And I'll say, hey, one of the projects that you loaned on is literally 5 minutes away. You want to shoot over there and check it out? Nah, I got busy. I got to go do this. They're not loaning on the deal. They're loaning because of the relationship that I have with them, the trust that we have built over the years. And then when we do one deal and it works out, and I give them their principal back and I give them their interest back, and they say, oh, that was easy.
Let's do it again.
Can we do it again? And so, you'll eventually get to the point where your lenders literally have said to me, I don't want the money back. Can we just roll it into another deal? Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't need the money right now, because if you give it back, it's going to sit in my bank account. You just hold on to it. And there are times where I've said, no, I don't want to hold on. I don't have another deal to put it into. I don't want to necessarily pay interest on funds if I'm not earning, if they're not being deployed into a deal.
Yeah.
And I had one lender, no, don't worry about it. You just hold on to it until you find a deal. And I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I actually just gave them the money back, because our deal was up, and I had done what I was going to do with that deal. But it absolutely comes down to trust. There's some investors who are certainly more interested in the deal itself, some lenders. Another family member who is a lender, literally on a deal that I purchased, that's going to be a buy and hold that I purchased towards the end of 2022. She flew from Texas to Jacksonville to come and see this deal. She wasn't even in Jacksonville for 24 hours. She wanted to lay her eyes on the deal. That's what made her comfortable. But that, for whatever reason, in my experience, that's not the norm. I'm surprised it's not the norm. I'm surprised that lenders don't want to come and see the deal. Or
I would think that, I would think that.
Yeah, but I think that, man, this is not me patting myself on the back, but I think it's really the relationship and the trust
Yeah.
that I've built with them. They feel
Crucial.
so comfortable. And then, I've built up a track record. We've done 2, 3, 5 deals together. And, I can fortunately say every lender I've worked with, I have performed 100% of the time as promised. They got their principal back, they got their interest back, and they were ready to do another deal. So that improving that track record is absolutely something I tell people about, because I want them to know, hey, this is my track record. This is what you can expect. And I'll actually let them talk to other lenders. And some of my lenders say, absolutely, put my name out there if you think that is going to help you or give you a little bit more credibility. So that trust factor is paramount. And for me, this might sound kind of weird. Making money is not my number one priority. My number one priority with my private lenders is making them whole. And that means getting them 100% of their principal and interest back first, and then everything on top of that is gravy, and hopefully it's profitable. I've probably had one or a couple of deals that didn't work out exactly like I thought because the ARV wasn't as high as I thought, couldn't sell it, where we wound up holding the property longer instead of selling it, refinancing it, holding it, the property. But my lender, they didn't know the difference because they were going to get their principal and interest regardless of what the deal does. So that is one thing I stress to all of my lenders.
So, let me ask you, this is really interesting. Are you lending out primarily on single family homes? Are you also doing multifamily? Do you have any interest in commercial, hotels? Well, I mean, what's your, how long have you been in a position now where you've actually been, bringing people return on their investment as a lender? Then you've got a series of projects behind you now. Are you in different platforms being single family and multifamily, or are you just single family? Have you ever done commercial?
I have, the majority of what I do is single family and small multifamily. That is a space that I'm comfortable with. I'm knowledgeable about. I mean, that's my wheelhouse right there. Especially in Northeast Florida, I feel very comfortable and confident in my ability to analyze a deal in Northeast Florida. And this is just my personality as well. And we do own some properties in Tennessee and Texas, but I don't. I haven't done flips in those states. My personality allows me to kind of be where I am, get to know the market extremely well, to the point where I have people coming to me, Mal, what do you think about this? What do you think about this area? Is this a good price? What do you think about the market in Northeast Florida? So I think I've grown a reputation somewhat in my circle of, if you want to know something about this area, text Mal, call Mal. And I think that also lends to my credibility. But one area where I do want to grow, and I've been focused on this throughout last year and into this year, is I do want to start investing in larger multifamilies. My goal this year is to purchase a 20 to 50 unit, something like that. I love multifamily. And I'm just growing my knowledge there. I'm a big fan of self-storage. Yeah, and bought into one syndication in Florida there. I want to grow my knowledge there. So I kind of see myself not necessarily transitioning from small multi and single family, because that space has performed very, very well for me over a bunch of years. So I feel like I'll always be in that space, but definitely want to continue to grow in the multi and self-storage spaces.
Awesome. Now, a little bit more about you. Do you have kids? You married? Grandkids? No kids? Pet dog? Rabbit?
Yep.
I got a rabbit.
We have a cat named Chicken. Chicken because when we first got him, he was scared of everything, especially me. So our cat's name is Chicken, married, a couple of kids. My son is 20, he's in college. My daughter is 17, acts every bit of 17 years old. We torture each other and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I think what helps me mentally is remembering, I have 3 sisters and a brother, remembering how I was as a teenager and remembering how my sisters were as teenagers. So that helps form how my approach with my 17-year-old daughter. She comes downstairs in the morning. I say, "Hey, Z, how are you?" I might get a grunt. I might not. And it used to bug the daylights out of me. And it's just gotten to the point where I've realized sometimes she just doesn't like to talk in the morning. And guess what? That's okay.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. So are you are you teaching or mentoring from a lending standpoint? Are you showing people how to do stuff, or do people come to you, or are you just working? Do you have a company, or are you just doing this individually?
Yeah.
Would your services be available? Can people contact you?
Yeah, my company, Diamond Life Real Estate. I wanted real estate in the name, and years ago, my kids helped me create the name Diamond Life. Plus, I'm a Sade fan. Love her music from back in the day. So Diamond Life Real Estate is my company, and I'm also a real estate broker. I've had my license, and I think I mentioned it earlier that when I was injured and rehabilitating my knee, I sat in a real estate class and got my license. So I've had my license for about 25 years, but I don't really work as your traditional real estate agent where I'm necessarily helping people buy and sell property. But I think the knowledge gained from having my license and the 14 hours every 2 years that I have to put in of continuing education, I think it's well worth it. Cost me probably between $900 and $1,000 a year between my license and my lockbox fees. And I'll make that back on one deal because a lot of my deals, I buy on-market deals primarily. I'll represent myself in a deal. And a $100,000 deal, you're going to earn $3,000. $1 million deal, you'll earn $30,000. So having your license for me has been tremendous. It's a money maker because I'm buying my own deals. I love. So I encourage people. A lot of investors don't get their license, and by no means is it required. But I have encouraged people to think about getting their license. From a guy who was not a big fan of college. I said I went to University of Michigan. I went back and eventually finished at University of North Florida when I was in my 30s. Still bugs me that half the students thought I was the visiting professor. But they did. Are you the professor? No, I've been here every day. You have just missed a lot of school. That's why you don't recognize me. But considering I was not a big fan of school, I grew to love growing my knowledge. I loved the business classes and the finance classes that I was taking. And I think that has also helped me in private lending, because when I'm talking to people, 99 times out of 100, my real estate knowledge is going to be greater than their real estate knowledge. And my knowledge around the Jacksonville market is going to be greater than their knowledge. So it lends to my credibility. I tell people who want to get into real estate, and I encourage everyone on the call, just forever continue to grow your knowledge. And there's so much free or low-cost content out there in podcasts and YouTube channels. Just continue. There is no excuse for any of us not to be virtually experts in our field. But when we're experts in our field, what we're doing is we're also protecting our lenders, our investors.
Yeah.
I talked about, you for someone to loan you money, they have to know you, like you, trust you. I think they also want to know that you know what the heck you're doing.
Heck yeah.
Right? I mean, you have to have the knowledge. I mean, there have been times where I've had people come to me and, hey, Mal, are you interested in this deal? And so before I even look at the deal, I'm kind of looking at the individual. I want to have a conversation with you. Are you even talking the real estate language? Is this your first deal or is this your 50th deal? And you'll know pretty quick. And so I don't immediately dismiss them if they're inexperienced, but I want to know that they know what they're talking about. Okay. And so I can tell that pretty quickly. And then also I think the experience, people can come to me if they're interested in loaning me money. I can show you, I can actually drive you by 25 deals up and down the beach that I've done over the last number of years.
Cool.
Okay, you can literally go online and Google, not Google, but go on the Duval County property appraisers, and you can see, oh yeah, Mal did own this property and this property and this property. Oh, and he bought it for this and he sold it for this. And so they want to
track record.
As a lender, I would want to know that, okay, there's a level of experience that that this person has, because let's be honest, people are going to loan to you because they want to make money, right? How confident are they in me and my ability to earn them money, 8, 9, 10%? And exactly. I throw it out there again. I was like, well, of the, however many loans it is, I think we're up to like 33 loans or something like that over the last handful of years. I've performed 100% of the time for my lenders. Okay, last year we raised and deployed interest on a little over $2 million. Okay, on deals that we purchased, and I'm a buy and hold investor primarily. I used to do flips, and the reason I stopped flipping, JJ, 2, 3, 4, 5 years after I flipped that house, you know what I said? Geez, I wish I'd kept that house. Because it turned out to be a really, really good deal.
I bet.
Not every area is like that, but certainly Northeast Florida is like that. And you sell for a reason. You sell because you can make a good profit. But there's, to me, in my stage of investing, there is something to be said for buying and holding long term. So when I buy something, we only bought 4 properties last year. And my goal is to hold on to those long term. They were rehabs, they were, value adds. And I'll refinance out, pay off my lenders, hold them long term, put tenants in place, and then hold them. When I say long term, our plan is to hold these properties anywhere between 7 to 10 to 15 years, because I have seen what the market has done in the 30 plus years I've been here in Northeast Florida. It's been, honestly, it's been kind of ridiculous, kind of how good this market is. So that is my strategy right now.
But beautiful part of the country, as you were saying, is just heaven on earth down. When I was in Jacksonville a couple of years ago, it rained the entire weekend. I went there for a Jacksonville boot camp. It rained cats and dogs. And Samantha still doesn't let me forget that to this day. It was kind of funny. You were right on base with everything you said. It's people want to know that they have confidence, they can rest assured. They want to maximize their money. I think, God, what you've done and put together is extremely impressive. Talking about the buy and hold aspect. My dad used to tell me, in California, you never sell real estate. And so, my folks have my brother and I split the portfolio. I'm getting hit with agents all over. You want to sell this, you want to sell that. And I'm like, no. It's going to continue. The appreciation rate here is good, and the values are high. So, to expand my portfolio, I'm looking to go to the Midwest and probably down to Florida. Maybe come your way and see if we can't do something together. Are you open to working with others, to funding other people's deals? How would you want people to connect with you? Do you do Instagram, or do you have a website, or?
They can, probably the best way to connect with me is on my Instagram, Mal Washington, MAL Washington. But I also have a website, Diamond Life Real Estate. I have loaned money, put money into other people's deals, but one of the reasons I haven't done that as much is I like my deals so much. One of the other things I tell to my lenders is every single deal that anyone has ever loaned on, I've put some of my own money into the deal.
Yeah.
Okay. And, there are times where, maybe I'm on a time crunch or whatever, I'm putting more money into a deal than one of my private lenders. Okay. So when they know that I'm putting my hard-earned money into the deal, and that gives them certainly another level of comfort,
Yeah, of course.
without question. But you had asked earlier, I think you had asked before my previous answer about teaching and education. One of the things I really enjoy doing is educating the younger generation on the value of real estate. There's just something about, I have a youth foundation, as you know, and we work with, here in Northeast Florida, we work with a lot of families that primarily have never owned real estate. And if you go back 1, 2, 3 generations, they have never owned real estate. Okay. And so over the last, let's say 25, 50, 75 years, they have never appreciated in that wealth building aspect of real estate. Okay. There's a reason why they're in the financial position they're in today. And real estate is just one of the reasons. There's many, but that's one of the reasons. So I love to work with young teens and young 20s and expose them to my projects out here at the beach, take them through one of my rehabs, take them to one of my triplexes and say, okay, this is what we bought it at. This is today's value. This is the rent I'm getting. And guess what? Someone else is paying for it. I kind of put real estate this way. I get to own it. I get the tax benefits. I get the appreciation. I get the loan pay down. I get the pride of ownership. And actually, we enjoy owning real estate. Am I not? Am I wrong?
Of course.
It's fun owning real estate. And on top of all of that, someone else is helping me pay for it. I mean, to me, what better deal could you possibly want? So I take these young people out, and if you go on my Facebook page, you'll see some groups, some pictures, some kids that I brought out here to the beach, and I'm just walking them around, and I'm talking about real estate, and I'm talking about wealth building, and I'm just really just changing the conversation. I'm a big believer in mindset and changing that mindset. If you've never been exposed to real estate, if you've lived in a rental house your entire life, or an apartment your entire life, it may never even dawn on you that you can buy real estate. And then you hear that old, oh, well, you need 20% down. Well, if that's your thinking, and you see a house for $200,000, you're thinking, I'm never going to have $40,000 to put down. If that's your thinking, you might go away believing, well, I guess I'll never buy. I mean, I don't have that kind of money to put down. But that's where the whole education piece comes in. I mean, there is so much quality content out there for people to educate themselves, that we have no excuse to go get it. One of the things, if you don't mind, I'll just share this. One of the things I do. I have a few questions I ask people, but one of them is, how much time do you spend? And I'll ask all of you, how much time do you spend on average every single day on your phone, talking to friends, texting? Now, not education, not work related, just fun, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, just fiddling around on your phone. How much time? And I do it myself, but there are times where I'll talk to people and they'll say, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 hours a day. And then I'll ask them, okay, how much time do you spend, or how important do you think financial knowledge and financial education is to your future financial security? Oh, it's really important. How much time have you spent engaging in your financial knowledge in the last 24, 48, 72 hours? Well, I mean, none. And then I'll have some people say, yeah, I just don't have the time. I'm working, I got kids. I'm like, wait, I thought you just said you spend 4 hours on your phone fiddling around, but now you don't have time to spend educating yourself. So I have this thing called, me and my older sister coined it, I call it my daily 15. And I say, if we're going to be on our phones anyways, carve out 15 minutes a day to further your financial knowledge. I would say, hey, put it in real estate. Get on YouTube and watch Pace Morby. Okay, get on a podcast and engage with Bigger Pockets or the Bigger Pockets Rookie Podcast. Go on your favorite, wherever you source your podcast from, and type in real estate investing. Do you know how many podcasts there are around real estate? Just start engaging a little bit. And JJ, what you'll find, if you do it for 15 minutes a day, it comes out to 91 hours of learning over the course of 1 year. That's more than a semester of learning if you're disciplined enough to actually do it. Most people, I would say, are not. But me, since my sister and I coined that, I have engaged in my real estate and financial and self-development growth every single day for the last 18 plus months, just over 18 months, every single day. But that's me. That's how I get after it. So to my point earlier, there is no excuse for us not to become experts in our field, because the information is out there. It's readily available on our phones. We just need to be disciplined enough to do it. I mean, I'm looking at Sean Baxter right there, who's driving. Okay. You know what I do when I get in my car on the way to the gym, or I'm on the elliptical, putting in a podcast, and it's usually a Bigger Pockets podcast. I like the Bigger Pockets podcast. Fundrise has a podcast that I just found literally last week. I think it's called Onward. I mean, that's a little much higher level, in my opinion, but that's a good one. So the information is out there, and it's really up to us to go get it. And I try to relay that message to a lot of young people.
That's great.
I'd say real estate is absolutely in your future, and I can absolutely help you navigate buying your first property, but it always starts with that one. And for a lot of people, that is, that's very nerve-wracking, but it always starts with one. Every one of us on this call right now who are real estate investors, it started with the first one.
Yeah, you inspire me, my friend. You really do. It's and that's as I said earlier, a result of us, being selective in who we spend our time with, and we spend our time with the right people, and we will be motivated. We will be inspired, and we will get to the next level because we're choosing how and who we spend our time with. You're awesome. I want to thank you for being on the call today. Two things. One, is the time blocking is crucial. You mentioned that 15 minutes. You've got me thinking, oh my gosh, we're in mid-January, third week of January, and I think you just helped me with my word for the year. And I think my word for the year will be time blocking. Because that's I have to admit where my weakness is. And sometimes I get a little bit too much on. I've got 2 Zoom calls a week. I've got a Facebook group and networking and showing people how to do stuff, and I enjoy that. But I realize that I have to time block and make time for reading and regularly looking at my finances on a regular basis, including my investments. And I've got a HELOC working, and so yeah, you kind of plug me in, brother.
Well, I do want to say, not all of us can be as motivated as Sean, who consumes podcasts and YouTube 8 to 10 hours a day, Sean says, which I think is very impressive. Maybe Sean, I don't know if Sean's driving a significant amount every single day, but just imagine if Sean's doing that every day, how many thousands of hours over the course of a year, how much knowledge that is. And so if you can get disciplined enough to do it a little bit every single day, it's fascinating. But but it's crazy how people won't do it. I have a lot of people come to me often. Hey, Mal, hey, I want to get into real estate. And this is how I know if they're serious or not. There's this little 22-minute video on YouTube, and I send it to them, and it's basically breaking down, figuring out how do you determine cash on cash return. Okay, it's a very simple calculation, but if you've never known it, if you've never seen it or done it, I imagine there's people on this call who couldn't exactly tell you how to do cash on cash return. Not a problem. A few years ago, I couldn't, but I'll send them to this video. And if I don't hear back from them within 24, 48 hours, they didn't watch the video. And sometimes I'll see them 3-4 months later. Hey, did you check out that, that Brandon Turner and that little cash on cash return video? Oh man, I forgot about that. What was that video again? That's how I know they're not serious. So I'm not going to waste their time, and I don't want them to waste my time. But every once in a while, I'll get someone, I'll tell them the video, they'll text me like an hour or two later. That's the person I want to help educate. Because if they're texting me, oh, tell me okay, is 10% cash on cash, is that good or is that low or is that high? When they're asking questions, well, then I know they're serious about kind of learning about real estate. And then I'll feed them a little bit more information. But someone earlier mentioned something, it might have been you, JJ, about taking action. Most people won't. I don't know about most people. A lot of people won't. So on the call here, my hope is that, we'll be on for however long we're on. My hope is that, if you're taking notes or whatever, sometimes I'll go to a conference and I'll walk out with 3 or 4 pages of notes. And then sometimes you don't implement anything that's on the notes. Mm-hmm. Okay. My hope is that everyone can walk away with just 1 or 2 nuggets of information that they can hang their hat on and say, you know what? I like that. I want to try to implement that today. I want to try to implement that tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can do that consistently. That is where the growth happens. But let me say one other thing, and then I know I'll let you.
Yeah, we got a couple questions lined up for you here. Yeah, go ahead.
But we were getting back to private lending. I definitely don't want to miss this part. I don't do a single deal on a handshake. Okay. Not even with my aunt and uncle, who were one of my first lenders, not with the friend who I've known for 20 years. Nothing is done on a handshake. Every single deal, we put a promissory note in place. And that promissory note spells out the length of the deal, the term, the interest rate. Are they getting paid back quarterly, monthly, at the end of the term? That is a must on every single loan. Depending on the size of the loan, we will put a first mortgage in place. And the reason that is important, for example, I have one lender who is more knowledgeable and experienced than most of my lenders. And he flat out says, I'll loan a significant amount on your deal, but I want a first mortgage. Okay, so a deal we did recently, it was $1 million purchase. He came in at $600,000. Okay. I put in a little piece, someone else put in a little piece. So he got a first mortgage. But if someone's coming in at 10% loan to value, I mean, they're not getting a first mortgage, obviously. The other piece, the other document that I put in place on my loans is a personal guarantee. And the reason I do that is it gives my lenders another level of comfortability and confidence in me and the deal. If I am personally putting my own money into it and I am personally guaranteeing their loan, they know I have a high level of confidence in this deal. So those are 3 documents that I will put in place for my lenders to get them very, very comfortable with the loan process. And JJ, I'll let you pick one of the.
That makes perfect sense. Lance Riggin, you are on with Mal Washington, brother. What's your question? Hey,
First off, thanks JJ for hosting this. Thanks Mel. You had some great knowledge that you dropped on us and some gold nuggets. My question is, I get the question a lot, being a sub-2 student and involved in the Facebook community pretty heavily, is how do you approach private money lenders to bring them in on your deals? Like, what's your strategy?
I often will ask someone to coffee or to lunch. There's this going joke around some of my friends and some of my family. And I can turn any conversation towards real estate. We can be talking about snails, and I can find a way to weave real estate into it.
Yeah.
But it's in part, Lance, because I'm passionate about real estate and what I'm doing. But I might call up someone and say, hey, I'd love to sit down and talk to you. I have this deal working. I'd love to talk to you about real estate and how we fund some of our deals. And I'll just put it very simple, just so it's almost like a little tease. So they know Mal's coming. He's coming to talk about real estate, not quite sure what it is. And then I make it real simple. I'm looking at buying this deal. I already have it under contract. We are going to close on this deal. I'm looking for a private lender. I'm going to be looking to raise about $200,000. And one of the things that has worked out really well for us is when we work with private lenders, we'll put these 3 documents in place to help protect you. And then I'll go into, every deal I've done. We performed as expected. I've given my lenders 100% of their principal and interest back every single time. And sometimes on the spot I'm asking them, hey, do you think you would be interested in loaning on this deal? And there are times where I've literally had someone, I'm looking to raise 250, and I'm thinking they might come in at 75, and they're like, yeah, I'm in. All right, and then you're thinking, how much are you thinking? Oh, I'll do the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, good, sweet, thank you. There are times where they have to get a little bit more comfortable with it. I might take them out to the project, but you have to. And there are times where I might say, I'm working on this deal, or I'm working on deals all the time. If you're interested in maybe being one of my lenders. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm not really asking them for a deal right now, and I'm not asking them to commit right now. When I get another deal under contract, if you're interested, I'll come back to you and tell you about the deal. I always do it's basically a 4-page executive summary, and I try to, in this executive summary, spell out or pretty much anything they could possibly want to ask about the property, about the rehab, what my exit strategy is. Am I holding it? Am I keeping it? Am I refinancing it? Right. How are they getting paid? A lot of information in the executive summary. So it's a physical thing that they can take back home and peruse it. Okay. Or give it to an attorney, or have another investor look at it, whatever their process is. But I say it's not rocket science, but you do have to ask. I have had people wanting to ask me for money and never actually asked me for money. The words never came out of, they're talking about this deal and I'm going to be looking at raising some money. I was like, oh, that's great. And I'm expecting them, hey, to say, would you be interested in loaning on this deal? And the words actually never came out of their mouth. What that tells me, okay, they were a little bit nervous, whatever. But what that also tells me is there's a lack of experience there, which is fine. At some point, we're all inexperienced, and as we grow, we're going to get more experienced. It is a numbers game, right? Okay? It really is. You have to put yourself out there. Who said it? Success comes on the other side of uncomfortable, or however it goes. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get uncomfortable. And to this day, I intentionally put myself in uncomfortable positions because I want to grow. Okay. And if you think about it, all we're doing is talking to people. Okay. We're talking just like we are. We're just talking to people. It just so happens that you're asking them for money. But if you feel if you have confidence in your ability and confidence in that deal, it makes it a lot easier to ask for money. And then on top of that, this is what you're getting. This isn't, in a way, you're saying, this is what I want to do for you. I'm allowing you into my deal. Okay. And you're going to earn 8%, 9%, 10% annualized rate of return. And of course, this is kind of a good selling point for some of my lenders, or not a selling point, but I kind of mention it to them. I say, I bet you're happy that your money was with me in 2022 and not in the NASDAQ, or not in the Dow, or not or not with Apple or Google or Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
Because those
Or
stocks
crypto.
are down, what, 30%, 40%?
Yeah.
And the folks that are with me, they're earning 9%, 10%. And I'm like, so congratulations, you did well with me last year.
You got Melissa from Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. How are you, Melissa?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thank you. Yeah, great to see you here, Mal. Couple of questions for you. It's kind of off the cuff, but you made a comment that you share your executive summary. Can you share that with the group so that we
Sure.
can kind of get an idea of what you do?
Yeah, sure. I
And
don't mind that at all.
thank you.
Yeah.
The other question I really had that I raised my hand of is, when you started out with the private lending, your learning capacity and stuff like that, where did you start and how did you get your paperwork that you use?
It has evolved over time. It started out when I first heard about private lending at a Fortune Builders event. And, I just started learning, and they're like, okay, yeah, you put a promissory note in place. I'm like, a promissory note? I was like, okay, I know what that is. I've signed a bunch of them. You can go online and find them. I don't necessarily recommend kind of just taking it offline, but, maybe have an attorney look at it. So I get that getting the promissory note is very, very easy. The personal guarantee, I've done enough deals over the years that I just snag different documents. I don't know where I got my first personal guarantee, but actually I do know. I went to a local attorney who I did a lot of closings with, and I said, here's what I'm doing. I'm bringing this is good 7-8 years ago. I'm bringing my aunt and uncle on this, and I want you to create for me. We're doing a personal guarantee and a promissory note. Remember, it's a PV title right here in not far from me. And it was kind of funny because they created this promissory note that was like 6 pages or 7 pages, and it had all this legalese. And I was like, my aunt and uncle are 75. I was like, I'm not giving them this 8-page document. I said, I just need you to dumb it down. One, so I can understand it.
Yeah.
And 2, so it's really easy. So it was basically a promissory note that a bank would offer. Okay. Bank would have you sign. And so we just made it a lot. I think now it might be 4 pages or something like that. My personal guarantee, I think it's 2 pages. And I send that's how I got those first documents, and they've evolved over time. And I hope that answers your question. And on the executive summary, I have no problem sharing that at all. I'll just edit out some of the some of the details, not the details, but maybe actually I don't really care if you see the property address. It's public notice. It's public information anyways. So I don't mind that either.
Melissa, if you want to message me, I'll put you in touch with Mal.
Thank you. And thank you, Mal.
I mean, obviously you're both in the Facebook group. You can both find one another in the group. And, like we always do, I've got that post for, Mal's photo will all be tagged in that. So you'll be able to see that as well. Jenny, you're on with Mal Washington. What you want to chat about?
Hi, how are you? And thanks for being here this evening. I know I came in a little late, but I caught the tail end of it. Lance and the lady that was just speaking was kind of a combination question that I had, and that part was answered. But for me, I do earnest money lending. well, not lending, earnest money funding. We're not lenders. We don't charge interest rates. What we do is we charge a fee. So a lot of what you're saying, I mean, gosh, I wish, investors came to me with everything and all these fancy things that you're talking about. Executive summary, you're on it. You have everything. I work with a lot of new investors who sometimes they don't want to provide a purchase contract or a ratified contract to me. So that way I could take a look at it, underwrite the deal, because it's more of asset based, based off of that. So when you're looking at a private money lender, your qualifications are different from some of the ones that I look at. So for me, I look at investors, I'll look at their Facebook page, or I have a series of questions that I do ask them. We do have paperwork. I'm in the Gator Method program with PACE. So he has all of those things in there, promissory notes and all those documents. What would you say, kind of reverse engineering everything you just said, if someone like myself, and there's a few other Gators in here, that is funding earnest money deals to newer investors, and they don't have a background because they might have just started doing real estate a month ago or a couple months ago? What would be some of your key things?
Key things for that investor?
Correct. Like, exactly.
I mean, if you don't have a lot of experience, I will forever say, continue to grow your knowledge. If you have no experience and no knowledge, in about a 30-second conversation, people will know that. Okay, so continue to grow your knowledge, but then you can also partner with people who have a little bit more experience. For example, if my buddy Tim is just getting into real estate and he's talking to you, or he's trying to raise money, well, maybe my buddy Tim can use me as either as a partner or as a reference. So his lender can come to me and say, hey, let's talk about Tim, because so much of it does have to do with credibility and getting you as I don't know the term you said, funder, or getting that lender comfortable with who you are and your ability to perform, and comfortable with your knowledge, and comfortable with the deal. And I think I said it earlier, sometimes my lenders, rarely, but sometimes they do want to look at the deal. Okay, they do want to walk the property, and I'm happy to have them walk the property. Most of my lenders, there's a level of trust, and they may not want to walk the property, and they'll just say, okay, cool, here's the money. Just tell me where I need to wire it. Wire it to the closing agent, and when does it need to be there? That's what a lot of my lenders do and prefer to do. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that definitely does answer it. I mean, I do work with seasoned investors as well, where it's no problem. I give them what I need. They send everything over. It's just like everything you're saying. All right, cool. But then you have the other side that's, oh, well, I don't want to give you the purchase contract, or I just started this, or, it's kind of like pulling teeth. They don't want to give a lot of information. So,
yeah, to that, I would almost say next.
Right.
If any, I try to be as transparent and as open as possible. I mean, honestly, a lender may want to know, okay, I know you said you have it under contract. Can you show me that it's actually under contract? Yes, I can. Here's the purchase and sale agreement. What's your email? I'll email it to you right now. So I don't think that's inappropriate at all to say, hey, where's your earnest money deposit coming from? Where's the bulk of your funding coming from? Can I see the purchase and sale agreement? Who are you working with? Who's your agent? You're working with an agent? Can I talk to the selling agent?
Exactly.
I mean, none of that is inappropriate. To me, that's just you vetting this individual.
Exactly. I wish, and like I said, there's more Gators in here than usual when I come in here. I wish you could come in the Gator Method community and speak to everyone in there so some people understand that part, because it is so important that, hey, you want to borrow someone else's money, you're going to have to give some information.
You know what I would say to that? My guess is they need to really grow their knowledge. they need to grow their experience. They need to get around other investors who tell them, oh yeah, this is standard that you provide this information to a funder or to a lender. That's an indication to me, well, maybe they're not as experienced. Or are they hiding something? In which case
Right.
you probably would not want to work with them. But more often than not, it's maybe just a lack of experience, and they can grow that every single day.
Thank you so much. And
Thanks for that
I'm going
question. I
to
appreciate
take
it.
your YouTube. I think he's going to post this. He usually does post them. This is a good video for me to send to some newer investors as to why there may be a decline, or this is what, look at this interview. I think this is valuable for me. Thank you so much. And I appreciate it, JJ. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I would just, there's nothing wrong with you educating them a little bit. Hey, this is why it was declined, because you didn't want to send this, but on a future deal, if we can help you and you're willing to provide this information, absolutely come back to us. Boom, done.
My good friend Dale Emery. Dale, you're on with Mel Washington. What's going on?
Hi, JJ and Mel. Thanks, Mel, for being on here and sharing with us tonight.
Thank you.
I got a question. I have a private money lender that I've been trying to do a deal with. And what he wants is either if I the last property I did, I had to purchase. It was a quick purchase that I had to make. So I went to him when I was going to borrow money to actually fix the property up. But either way, if I borrow money from him, he doesn't want to use a contract that I'm familiar with, that I've used to loan money out with. What he wants is either a quick claim deed to him personally or to his business personally, or when I close on the property, he wants the property to be in his name for the length of the time. And then once it's paid back, he wants to quick claim the deed back to the property. Does that sound like something that is risky, or as an investor?
If I'm the borrower, the investor, and I'm working with, let's say, I don't know his name, but let's just say his name is Tim. And Tim says, this is the way I want to structure, and I want you to quit claim it to me. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. I would just find another lender. He's just, and that's a system that works for him. And I'm not going to be critical if that's the way he chooses to do it. That's just not a person that I would work with. And on private lenders, I think we should always be trying to grow that network. I remember I was listening to a podcast and dude was like, oh, you got like 100 private lenders, that he's used over the years that he's still in contact with. If you have a list of 3, 5, 10, 30 private lenders that you've either worked with or had some contact with or had this conversation with, I wouldn't spend too much time with Tim, that individual. I'd maybe put more energy into another private lender.
Okay.
I mean, I've actually never heard of that, wanting to quick claim it. And
yeah, this is an older individual, right, that has been around a long time. He says the process for him, it's what he uses, because he's lent money to people all over the place. And he just says it's an easier process for him. If he has to take the property back, it's already in his name.
Yep. And that's
I try to assure him that, hey, you're not getting my property, right? that's not likely to happen. That's not why we're doing this. But yeah, I didn't know if that sounded risky to you. It feels like it is to me. So
and that's where as investors, sometimes I think we go with our gut. And if your gut says this isn't the way I want to go, then don't go that way. And again, I'm not critical of him if that's his process and the system he puts in place. God bless him. That's his system. It's just not, I just like, oh, okay, no problem. I don't think this is the right deal for you and I. But
Gotcha.
Thanks for that question, Dale.
Thank you.
Dale, good to see you, my friend. Wes, you are on with Mel Washington. What's your question?
Quick question, two-part. One, what is the largest raise you have done? And two, I'm kind of more multifamily focused. So for me, kind of an obstacle I'm coming across is finding the deals seems to be pretty easy, but getting the capital raised, I can get long-term financing, but the entry costs, you might be 800,000, $1 million. How do you overcome those kind of hurdles? Because that's a big ask,
Yeah. How do you overcome, those big numbers? It's growing your network of lenders. what I have found over time is if I'm expecting or asking someone for 50,000, they're usually not coming out with say, oh, how about I give you 75? Okay. But there are those lenders who have the ability and the willingness to give 250 or 500. And if you're asking for 50, they're probably not going to come out and say that. So I would say, or how I have approached it, I've gone to lenders and said, this is what I'm raising. And generally I do a minimum $50,000. If someone wants to, I mean, because let's just say I'm buying a $100,000 property, I don't want 10 people coming in at $10,000. Yeah, I mean, I want one lender who's been willing to come in at 80 and I'll put in 20 or something like that. But I'll go to lenders and say, on this deal, we're going to raise $500,000 on this deal. I'm not sure where you might want to come in. I don't like to work with a lot of lenders on a deal, one, maybe two lenders, just because it complicates things. But I think the people you're talking to, you probably have an idea of where they might come in. Okay. Are they coming in at $80,000 or $280,000? You might have an idea. You just may need to grow your pool of lenders. And as I see it, that process should maybe never stop. Kind of like we're always kind of vetting deals and trying to find deals. I think we should always be talking to individuals about private lending. And there have been times where I've come across people, I had no idea that they would even be interested in private lending. And they told me, oh yeah, we've been doing private lending for a decade. I'm like, really? I had no idea. Why? Because I never asked them. I never broached that subject with them. And there have been times where I didn't realize that someone had the ability to go as big as they were willing to do. Well, I mentioned the deal earlier where I told a guy I was, I think the exact amount was, I'm going to be raising about 265. He just said, I'll do the whole amount. I was going in my head thinking, oh, maybe it's 50, 75. Here's an interesting one. I have a buddy of mine who only wants to come in. Well, the deals we've done, he's come in at 200 or more, 200 grand or more. I have not been face to face with him for over 20 years, which is just kind of funny. I think it's funny, but it's someone I knew from years ago from high school or post high school, whenever it was, years and years ago. We lost touch for years. Caught back up on Facebook, got on the phone, talking. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I raised money. I'm in the real estate business. We're always, raising money to put into deals. Oh, well, I might be interested in that. As it turns out, he does some private lending. So I literally haven't seen him in over 20, actually, 15. No, actually, I apologize. That's wrong. Over 30 years.
Wow.
I have not seen him in over 30 years, and he's one of my biggest lenders. Go figure. But somehow, some way, I was able to get him comfortable with who I am, even though we lost touch for years. He trusts me. We like each other. Now he's one of my lenders, and he already understood private lending because he already did it. I hope that that helps you with your question.
Cool. Hey, we have a question here. His question is here in the chat. I've heard from several people that asking for private money without a previous relationship is illegal, and you also can't post a general request online for funding. What is or are the legalities?
I think, about not posting. I think if you're doing a syndication, those 506B, 506C deals that are a lot more complicated than me borrowing from my buddy who lives next door, from my aunt, there are absolutely some rules about what you can and cannot do, about how you can advertise and how you can advertise. I have with my lenders, 100% of my lenders, we do have a personal relationship with. We phone, we call, we text. I feel comfortable enough with them. I could give them the key to my house, and they could come over and watch my house. So we definitely have a personal relationship. But I would highly encourage every single one, when you're Even if it's a lender who you don't really know, over time, that relationship needs to grow. Okay. So they can continue to get comfortable with you and your knowledge and your deal, because you want your lenders not to be around for 1 or 2 deals. Ideally, you want your lender to be around for as long as you're in real estate. And if you keep performing for them, they'll keep coming back. And don't get upset if a lender does a deal with you, you perform, and then on the next time you go to them, they're like, yeah, no, this one's not for me. No problem. I fully understand that. I mean, I don't think that maybe they want to be in the real estate market. Maybe they're lending money to someone else. It's not a problem if they don't want to do a particular deal. But what I want to show them is, you don't have to do a deal with me, but I'm still going to be doing deals. And if we do another deal a year down the road, great. But my business is not contingent upon 1 lender or 2 lenders, okay, or 5 lenders. And I position it like that. I'll tell them, hey, I would love to have you in on this deal, but if this isn't a deal, that's fine. We're still going to move forward with the deal. We're going to purchase this deal. So they know in their head, oh, so it's not, this deal isn't contingent upon me. And that just puts me in a stronger position when I know this deal is not contingent upon whether or not you say yes or no.
Yeah.
So good,
That's
very
great.
good, very good questions.
Mr.
Yeah,
Glover, are you there?
Yeah, is it a little better?
It's better, brother. What's your question?
All right. Hey, sorry about that, guys. I'm driving. So my question was more so, I'm actually coming into the lending space this year. My question to you is, what's your rate of returns? And also, would you be interested in long term, or do you look to refi your investors out, within the first 3 or 5 years?
Every deal's a little bit different. The rates I have paid out is anywhere between, in recent years, anywhere between 8 and 10%. That has been pretty standard. One of the trickier parts, and this is something I have not experienced. I've seen it, but it hasn't really hit me. One of the changes in my biz this year that I'm making the adjustment on is in 2021, 2022, or 2020 even, I could borrow money knowing I could do a cash out refi at 4%. 4% long-term fixed, which is great. I mean, and I'd be willing to pay my private lender even 10%, knowing I could refi in the 4%. So literally last year, I did a couple of cash out refis at 4 and 4.25 on long-term fixed. Me personally, I'll take that all day long. 4%.
Yeah, sure. Especially with that.
Here's the thing. On
Yeah.
my last cash out refi, 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. That's what it is for investors right now. It's actually coming down. It's coming down. I mean, I've seen 5.8 for the retailers, but it's 7.5 is definitely the one that's nicking everybody.
Yeah. So that does that's a significant impact on, let's say, my cash on cash and my cash flow every single month on a deal. Because again, I'm a long-term hold investor. Most of my loan terms are 1 year. And the reason I like to do that is when I was flipping houses, my lenders, once the house sold, I pay off my lenders, and they didn't know if I was going to give them interest on 5 months, 8 months, 12 months. There was just some uncertainty there. And then I made a shift and started doing 1 year terms. And I think my lenders really liked that, because when they signed on the line, they knew exactly what they were going to be earning. Okay. So and it made it a little bit easier on me. I like being able to know exactly what I'm paying out, and it allowed my lenders to financially prepare themselves. I mean, if they didn't know let's say they loaned I'm borrowing $100,000, and they didn't know, well, is Mal giving my money back in 6 months, 8 months? Well, if I know he's giving it back in a year, I can plan accordingly, because once that I get that money back, I'm deploying it into this thing, or I'm buying my wife a Tesla, or I'm putting it in stocks. So I think it allows them to prepare better as well.
Okay. Would you consider 30 years though? I love cash flow, but me personally, I'm always looking for long term. There's really not the 1 year stuff is a little bit, that's not my lane. I'm looking more 20 years or more.
Oh, absolutely. Because that is what I've actually literally been looking and reaching out to people wanting to do longer terms, because I'm a long-term hold investor. I mean, when I buy a deal, I think I said it earlier on the call. I mean, I'm looking at this 7, 10, 15 years. I want to hold this property because here in Northeast Florida, I have seen what my portfolio does. And I've seen how it's performed year after year. I don't care if it goes down or up. I've seen the general trend over, now it's 30 years that I've been here. So yes, long term, absolutely, I'm looking for that. So Karan, I appreciate that question. I've been borrowing money from private lenders for a little over 7 years, and I've performed 100% of the time with my lenders. So I feel confident in my ability. That's my spiel right there.
There you go.
You guys did.
I know. I'm gonna reach out to you.
That was my.
I'm gonna reach out to you privately.
Please do.
My group's a networking group, and I talk about the importance of networking to build our business through relationships. And with your experience, where you've come from inside and outside of the real estate world, what is the importance not only for the new investor, but the experienced investor who's new to social media? What is the importance of networking, social media, networking general, and maybe joining a group like I have for the new real estate investor from your standpoint?
Well, what I like about your group, JJ, is that you are trying to give people information. You're putting out knowledge. You're trying to connect people. And if you think about it, whether it's with family or friends or in life, so much of it is the connections we have, whether it's the connection with our neighbor, our coworkers, our spouses and kids, our doctor. We want to have, I'm not going to a doctor if I don't know who they are and I don't have a relationship and I don't like them and I don't know them. Mm-hmm. So the connecting and the networking and growing that network
every day.
If you have the ability to do it every single day. Now I talked about my daily 15. Imagine if we spent a few minutes every single day. Now it takes discipline, okay? A few minutes every single day trying to grow our presence, our social media presence. What if we had a list? Okay, I'm gonna reach out to one private lender every single day, or I'm going to reach out to one person in my contact list, and just to try to build and grow and help develop that relationship a little bit. Imagine what's going to happen is your business is going to grow, your business is going to evolve, and you're going to look back and say, okay, I just spent a little bit of time and look what it did for me. So it's easy to say it here on the Zoom call. It's 100% different making the commitment to reach out every single day. I mean, this is our business. You have to treat it like a business. I mean, if it's a hobby to you and you treat it like a hobby, it will perform like a hobby. But if you truly want to grow your business and be a business, people are watching that. You know, people want to know, as you're growing your presence. What I have talked about the entire day is credibility. As you're growing your social media presence, as you're growing your private lender list, you're growing your credibility. Okay. Now, I off the top of Pace Morby, you've mentioned him before, and someone had on one of Pace's hats. You think he has a little bit of credibility?
Just a bit.
Okay. He has built some significant relationships. And he has built a significant online presence. And guess what? He's going to continue to do that. Never met Pace. I've consumed a good amount of his content. I'm going to go out on a limb and say every single day he's doing something in his business, and he's doing something where he's growing some relationship that he has.
Every day.
And what I like about Pace, what I like about you, JJ, is you're putting information out, and it's not like you're looking for anything in return. Okay, you're just putting it out there, and I think I'm one of those dudes who believes in karma. Okay, I think you do good by people. I think it comes back to you. You try to jack someone, actually, and I'll just put that out there. Don't jack people in real estate.
Yeah.
You know, your what is it? Your reputation precedes you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel if you were here in Jacksonville, you can talk to any professional in the real estate business, and not one would say, "Oh yeah, Mal jacked me on that deal." They might say Mal came in with a low offer and he didn't want to come up. Mal, negotiated hard and didn't want to budge on this thing. Yeah, they'll say that. But Mal jacked me on this deal. Mal was unethical. Actually, being a realtor, we literally have a realtor code of ethics. I'm convinced it's one of the reasons why some investors I've come across don't want to be a realtor, because they don't want to be held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. I don't mind being held to a higher standard. So, that's what I had. Sorry, that was a long-winded way of saying I think relationships and connections with people are vital to your business and to who we are. And so now it's nice to now be connected with everyone on here.
Yeah, we got some great people on the call today, and you guys who are on the call, I've posted our photo today of Mal to our group page. You're all tagged on there, so we'll go after we get to past the recording. We'll get into that. But for all you guys that are watching on YouTube today, thank you so much for being with us. Please like the video. Please put something in the comments. It really, really helps what we're doing. And if you're on the call right now, do not go away. I'm going to share something about you for the page and the post. And everybody, if you want to get in touch with Mal, reach out to me through Facebook, reach out to Mal through Instagram.
Instagram's a great way.
Your Instagram handle again?
Mal Washington, at Mal Washington. And if you just put the cursor over my picture, you'll see some info there too as well.
On behalf of Mal and myself, thank you guys for joining us today. Look for more videos coming up soon from Flipside Up, my YouTube channel. Look for my website, jjazizin.com. Takes you to the website for my networking group. And of course, the group on Facebook is JJ's Mastermind Networking. Please join us. We're all about learning, networking, helping you build your business by helping all build relationships together. So thank you guys so much.